Hey, what's going on? This is Chris Nessie from the House of EdTech podcast, which you can find on chrisnessie.com. So I'm creating this video as a live broadcast and later for your replay viewing pleasure to basically demonstrate how truly using technology isn't difficult and that anybody can just give it a try. So what am I going to do in this video? As the title of the video suggests, we are going to create a podcast for free in Google Slides. And how are we going to do this? First, the inspiration comes from my pal and awesome supporter, Jen Giffen. That's right, Virtual GIF on Twitter, which you can find her blog here at virtualgif.com. And today she wrote a blog post titled Podcasting in the Classroom. And in it, she talks about how you can podcast for free using Google Slides and some free online recording tools. So I thought, great post, getting a lot of traction on Twitter. Why not actually just pull it up and do exactly what she says? And let's see how easy this is for you to do. So here we go. You might see the tweet and think, all right, podcasting in my classroom, what can I do? All right. So she talks about her podcast, which, if you're not listening to her podcast, Shooks and Gift, the podcast, you definitely want to go over to shooksandgift.com. Let me open that up and show them a little love, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. So hopefully this loads. Well, I mean, I know it'll load. All right, that will load. So she says here in her post, when her and her co-host Kim Polishuk set out on their podcasting adventure, Kim and I wanted to create something that could be replicated in the classroom, something easy and free. For their podcast, they use Anchor.fm, and it works for them. They love that it's cloud-based and works on all platforms. But for some, there are still privacy concerns, especially for educators working with students under 13 years of age. So she says she has a few different options for tackling this hurdle, like Andrew Fenstermaker's suggestion to use Flipgrid for podcasting. And then she just so happened to be listening to my podcast, House of Ed Tech, and something dawned on her. Why not use the relatively new insert audio feature and simply host podcasts on Google Slides? So let's give it a try. Here's what she says. Number one, have students design a podcast logo and then have them record audio that can be done and shared in Google Drive, and then post the audio into your Google slideshow. So let's do this. So let's go over to Google Drive. And let's make a new presentation. All right. So step one, have students design a podcast logo. All right. Let's do that right here in Google Slides. Let's get rid of that. All right. So let's start with, let's insert a shape. Podcast artwork should be square. So I will hold Shift as I make my square to make a perfect square. Let's right click and center this on the page because things should be neat and tidy. All right. Let's get some colors on here. Let's fill this in. I don't know. Hot pink will look good on your screen. Let's make the line color. Let's go black. All right. Let's get some text in here. And let's call this Nessie's class podcast. That's a boring font, and I don't want to be boring. Let's do that. Let's make that bigger. And what's a good font color for this? that doesn't work. Yellow. Yeah, I guess that looks cool. Can I do anything else? That's fine. All right. So we have step 1, design our podcast logo. All right. Step 2, have students record the audio for an episode or a few episodes. This can be done on a device with audio recording or by using something like Cloud Audio Recorder that does not require an account but can be linked to save to one's Google Drive. Uh, if you or your students want to get fancy and edit, check out Bear Audio, which is free and cloud-based. No matter your method, have students upload audio to their Google Drive. All right, let's try this first one. We'll use both. Cloud Audio Recorder. Cloud Audio Recorder is a fun, simple, and easy to use audio and voice recorder. This audio recorder is a free recorder that can capture any sound, voice made by your computer or microphone. You can save the recorded audio to MP3 WAV format. It supports HTML5. Cool. All right, so I'm using the Brave browser, so hopefully this works. All right, start. Allow it to use my microphone. All right. Welcome to Mr. Nessie's Social Studies class podcast. This is episode 1, and the purpose of this podcast is going to be to chronicle the learning of my students that are in this class throughout the school year. This is episode 1, so we don't have a lot to talk about, but hey, that's okay. It's a podcast. What you can expect coming up is information that's happening each week in my classes, and certain episodes will be recorded by different blocks of students that I teach. And this year I'm teaching 6 classes. So I look forward to bringing you and my students their learning and a recap every week. If you're a parent of the students, glad you can come along for the ride. To my students who are listening, this is going to be a great way this year for us to learn and grow together and really document everything that we've done this year. We'll see you next time on Mr. Nessie's Social Studies class podcast. All right, so I click stop. Let's see. Export as a WAV, export as an MP3. We will save time. We will export as an MP3, and let's just go save it to Google Drive. Well, I'll do 2 saves. First, we'll save it to the computer, and we will name this Social Studies class podcast, episode 1. Save. All right, so that is downloaded, and let's see what it's like to save it to Google Drive. All right, select the folder. All right, let's log in and authorize it. Sure, I'll sign my life away. The API developer key is invalid, so that's not good. Good thing I saved it to my computer first. Well, let's see what happens when I refresh it. I'm probably going to lose the recording. Oh, no, nope, I lost the recording. All right. So good thing that I saved it to my computer, and now you know to save it to your computer, and maybe don't save it directly to Google Drive. All right. So it is what it is. Okay. Let's do the same thing, and let's try the other one. Let's try Bear Audio. So this is the online MP3 cutter. All right, so let's record something. Hey, welcome to the Mr. Nessie Social Studies class podcast. This is episode 1, and I'm really excited that you're going to be joining my class this year. And for my students who are going to be a part of this podcast, we're going to chronicle our learning this year on a weekly basis. And if you are a parent, family, or fellow member of the school community, thank you for listening and kind of checking out what we are doing in class. Not much to talk about here in the first episode, so tune in next week when we share more of Mr. Nessie's Social Studies class podcast. All right, so this recorded as a WAV. I can click these 3 dots, What happens if I click close? Well, let's do two things. One, I will click on it and I will save the audio as, and we'll call it a version. We'll add, what is this website called? We'll add Bear Audio Tool. We'll just add Bear to the title. There we go. So that gets saved to the desktop just in case. All right, now let's see what this does if I click close. Nothing. Let's try again and see what happens. Oh, it's still there. All right, let's see what happens if I click import. Okay, so it has brought in the audio, and I have some basic tools in here where I can cut or crop. All right, let's see if I can listen to this and let's see what we got, and I'll play it back, and hopefully you guys can hear it. Hey, welcome to the Mr. Nessie Social Studies class podcast. This is episode 1, and I'm really excited that you're going to be joining my class this year. And for my students who are going to be a part of this podcast, we're going to chronicle our learning this year on a weekly basis. And if you are a parent, family, or fellow member of the school community, thank you for listening and kind of checking out what we are doing in class. Not much to talk about here in the first episode, so tune in next week when we share more of Mr. Nessie's Social Studies class podcast. All right. Okay, so let's see how the editing works here. Obviously, we have that bit of silence, so why don't we delete what I highlighted? Okay, and let's delete the end. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, let's go. Hey, welcome to the Mr. Nessie Social Studies class podcast. This is episode 1, and I'm really excited that you're going to be joining my class this year. All right, let's go in and take out that silence. Now let's see how that sounds. Excited that you're going to be joining my class this year. And for my students who are going to be a part of it, let's take out the and. My class this year. For my students who are going to be a part of this podcast, we're going to chronicle our learning this year on a weekly basis. And if you are a parent, family, or fellow member of the school community, thank you for listening and kind of checking out what we are doing in class. All right. Let's save this. So let's do wave to MP3. That doesn't do anything. Let's do save. MP3. I'm going to recommend that when you do this, you save to mono. And the lowest is 96. That's fine. Because it's we're not making the Avatar soundtrack. We're not trying to win a Grammy. So MP3 mono 96 kilobytes is going to be plenty great for spoken word podcasts, especially for students. And really you, if you're into podcasting, you don't need to be making stereo quality files. It's okay. Let's do save. So it's initializing. Let's see how long this takes. While this is saving, if you are not subscribed to the House of EdTech podcast, I'm going to recommend that you go, you have right here down below, go to chrisnessy.com/go on your podcast player of choice, whatever device you listen to podcasts on. Go to chrisnessy.com/go, and it's going to take you on your device where you can listen to the House of EdTech. All right, save was successful. Let's get back to it. So we've got click to save. And so it's going to do it as an MP3, and we'll call this the Bear version of MP3. All right. Saved. Awesome. Close. Cool. All right. Now, let's see what the next part of the directions say. Click a slide deck for each student podcast or the entire class. If you choose to do one deck per student, have them put their logo on the title slide, and then each slide can be an episode. Okay. If you choose to do an entire class deck, have the class podcast intro page and all the logos on it. Okay. So we're going to pretend that this is a class podcast, and on the podcast show slide, to insert audio from step 2. All right. So let's do a new slide, and we'll call this episode 1. Let's do some basic show notes. Welcome to the podcast. Click to listen. Icon to listen. So let's see how we do this. Insert audio. So it's got to be on Drive already. Okay. Let's go back to Google Drive. Let's make a new folder. Let's call it Messy's podcast. And let's upload our recorded files. So we'll go, if you're on a Chromebook, you'd be going to upload from your device, etc. So let's get our file. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now they're all roughly the same, but we've got a couple of waves and we've got a couple of MP3 files. So now we should go to Insert, Audio, and we have our 3 files. So let's just pick, let's actually see it by name. So we'll do the very first one we recorded. So that's creating the audio. And it's nice to see this. Slides can't play this audio file. Try inserting a different file. Okay. So maybe it can't do an MP3. Let's try the wave. Insert audio. Wave. Slides can't play this. Try inserting a different file. All right. You got me. Will it play in my Google Drive? Maybe that's an issue. Let's try it. 7 megabytes. Let's see. Insert audio. All right. You got me. I am stumped. All right. One more time. Insert audio. All right. So I'm not going to say this doesn't work, because if we go onto Jen's website, we can open up an example that she put together that has obviously podcast cover art. And you can go down to episode 1. There's a little icon here, but it says that I would need permission to play this file. So that's where I'm at. I guess I'll have to do some type of part 2 to see how this works and maybe what I did wrong. If you know what I did wrong, leave a comment down below and we can figure this out together. Head over to chrisnessy.com/go if you'd like to subscribe to the House of EdTech podcast, and I'll see you on the next video.